I thought I rented the place alone. Turns out, I was very, very wrong. This story is one I've been hesitant to share, but I think it's time. It all started when I booked a weekend getaway to Savannah, Georgia. I found this absolutely charming Airbnb online. The pictures showed this beautiful, historic house with old wooden floors, antique furniture, and this really cozy, rustic vibe. It looked like the perfect place to unwind. You know, just me, a good book, and a quiet weekend, or so I thought. The first night I was there, everything seemed fine. I unpacked, made myself some dinner, and settled onto the couch with a movie. It was late, maybe around midnight, when I first heard it. Faint footsteps coming from the floor above me. I paused the movie and listened. It was a slow, deliberate creak. Creak, creak, right above the living room. My first thought, old houses make noise. The wood settles, the pipes groan. I've lived in old places before. It's normal. I just turned the volume up on the movie and tried to ignore it. It's an old house, I told myself. It's just an old house. The second night, things got a little weirder. I'd gone out for the day, exploring Savannah's beautiful historic district. When I got back to the Airbnb that evening, something felt off the moment I stepped inside. The air was colder than I remembered leaving it. I walked through the entryway and into the kitchen, and that's when I noticed it. The main front door, which I knew for a fact I had deadbolted, was slightly ajar. Just a crack, but enough for a chill to run down my spine. My heart started pounding. Did I forget to lock it? No, I was sure I had. I always double-check. I immediately went and locked it, bolting it securely this time. The house had a small security camera pointed at the front door, one of those little ring-style ones. The host had mentioned it for security. My hands were shaking a little as I pulled up the app on my phone to check the footage. I scrolled back through the entire day. I watched myself leave in the morning. I watched the empty porch for hours. And then I watched myself come back in the evening. That was it. The footage showed absolutely nothing. No one had entered. No one had exited. The door had just opened on its own. That night, sleep didn't come easy. Every little sound in the house made me jump. The third night is when things went from strange to terrifying. I couldn't shake the feeling that I wasn't alone. I decided I needed proof. I needed to know if I was just going crazy or if something was genuinely happening. So, I set up my laptop in the living room, connected to the home's Wi-Fi, and brought up the live feed from the security camera that was positioned in the main hallway, pointing towards the grand staircase. I sat on the couch, pretending to watch TV, but my eyes were glued to the laptop screen. For hours, nothing happened. The hallway was still and silent. I was starting to feel a little foolish. Maybe the door thing was just a weird glitch. Maybe the footsteps were just the house settling. And then, I saw it. On the laptop screen, a figure materialized at the top of the stairs. It wasn't clear, more like a dark, human-shaped silhouette standing perfectly still in the shadows of the upper landing. It had no discernible features, no face, just a void of darkness where a person should be. My blood ran cold. I couldn't breathe. I stared at the screen, my heart hammering against my ribs. I slowly, ever so slowly, lifted my eyes from the laptop to look at the actual staircase. There was nothing there, just an empty, dark hallway. I looked back at the screen. The figure was still there, watching. I didn't sleep a wink that night. I sat on that couch until the sun came up, watching that dark shape on my laptop screen. It never moved. The next morning, as soon as it was a reasonable hour, I called the host. My voice was trembling as I tried to sound casual. "Hey," I said, "just a quick question. Is there anyone else who has access to the house? A cleaner or a maintenance person? Maybe." I held my breath waiting for her answer. Her voice on the other end was cheerful, completely oblivious. "Oh no, honey," she said. "I'm out of town for the month. The house is all yours. Enjoy the peace and quiet." Peace and quiet. I hung up the phone, my hands clammy. I knew then I had to leave. I started packing my bags, throwing my clothes into my suitcase, not even bothering to fold them. But I had one more night. My flight wasn't until the next afternoon. That last night, the atmosphere in the house was heavy, oppressive. The air was thick and cold. The footsteps returned, but this time, they weren't upstairs. They were on the same floor as me. I was sitting in the living room, bags packed and ready by the door, and I heard them coming from the kitchen. A slow, dragging shuffle. Closer, slower. Each step echoed in the dead silence of the house. I was frozen in place, too scared to move, too scared to even breathe. The sound stopped just outside the living room archway. I felt eyes on me, even though I couldn't see anything. On the fourth and final night, I knew I wouldn't be able to stay in the living room. I retreated to the bedroom, my last bastion of perceived safety. I couldn't bring myself to close the door completely. Some part of me needed to see, needed to know what was out there. I left it open just a crack and huddled under the covers of the bed, my body rigid with fear. I must have been lying there for hours, listening to the silence, which was somehow more terrifying than the noise. Then, the bedside lamp began to flicker. On, off, faster and faster, casting dancing shadows across the room. My heart was a drum against my ribs. In one of the flashes of light, I saw it, a shadow, but it wasn't in the hallway anymore. It was in the room with me, a tall, dark silhouette standing at the foot of my bed. It was just standing there, motionless, a block of pure darkness in the flickering light. I didn't scream. I couldn't. The sound was trapped in my throat. I just stared, paralyzed by a level of fear I have never known before or since. The light finally went out, plunging the room into total blackness. I don't know how long I laid there, but the next thing I knew, the morning sun was streaming through the window. The shadow was gone. I didn't wait. I grabbed my bags and ran out of that house. I didn't look back. I got in my car and drove straight to the airport, even though my flight wasn't for another 6 hours. I've thought about that night a lot. I've tried to rationalize it, to explain it away, but I can't. I know what I saw. The host never left the house, and I can tell you this with absolute certainty. I have never, ever stayed in an Airbnb alone again. So, if you're ever renting a place and you hear a little creak in the night, just pray that it's only the house settling. Thanks for watching, and be sure to subscribe for more stories. Stay safe out there.